Emma Lawson stepped off the plane, her weariness evident in her haggard expression. The dull hum of the aircraft engines faded as she navigated the jet bridge, her steps echoing against the sterile walls. The airport's atmosphere seemed unusually subdued, devoid of the usual bustling energy. A sense of unease settled over her, an inexplicable feeling that something was amiss. As Emma traversed the silent corridors, her footsteps reverberated through the emptiness, creating an eerie symphony of solitude. The flickering fluorescent lights cast long shadows, dancing like phantoms along the linoleum floor. Each passing gate revealed only vacant seats, a stark reminder of the absence of fellow travelers. Reaching the heart of the terminal, Emma's heart sank as she beheld the departure boards. A cascade of red delays and cancellations mocked her travel plans. And there it was, like a cruel punch to the gut, the confirmation she dreaded. Her connecting flight was delayed by a grueling 12 hours. The realization struck her with an icy grip. Her hopes of a seamless journey dashed against the cold reality of an overnight stay in this desolate airport. The waiting area beckoned, an isolated oasis amidst the expanse of emptiness. Emma settled into a worn seat, her eyes scanning the vacant rows. The echoes of her own breath reverberated in her ears, punctuating the silence. The weight of the night ahead bore down upon her, an oppressive heaviness that made her long for the comforts of home. Time stretched on, minutes blending into hours, as Emma sat alone, her mind a whirlwind of anxious thoughts. The vast emptiness of the airport took on a life of its own, its silent corridors whispering secrets she couldn't comprehend. She yearned for the dawn, for the arrival of fellow passengers to dispel the unsettling solitude that clung to her like a second skin. In this eerie limbo, the airport's absence of life amplified every creak and groan, every distant echo that reverberated through the desolate halls. Emma's imagination ran wild, conjuring images of unseen specters lurking in the shadows, waiting for the opportune moment to reveal themselves. The weight of the night pressed upon Emma's eyelids, tempting her to surrender to exhaustion, but she fought to stay alert. She cast occasional glances towards the large windows, where darkness engulfed the world outside. As the minutes ticked by, a growing sense of isolation permeated her very being, the realization that she was a solitary soul in an abandoned sanctuary of travel. As the moon reached its zenith, casting an ethereal glow through the terminal's glass walls, Emma couldn't help but wonder if this surreal environment was a prelude to some impending horror. The very air seemed charged with an indescribable tension, as if the airport itself held its breath, waiting for an event yet to unfold. And so, Emma Lawson sat alone in that empty airport, her every sense heightened, her heart thrumming with a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. Little did she know that the night held far more than just the discomfort of a prolonged wait, and the true horror of her ordeal was yet to reveal itself. Emma Lawson's wearied eyes scanned the desolate surroundings, searching for any signs of life or respite from the haunting emptiness. The dim lighting cast eerie shadows along the cold, sterile walls, creating a macabre dance of light and darkness. The minutes dragged on, each one echoing through the empty corridors like a resounding heartbeat. Suddenly, a faint cry pierced the silence, resonating through the abandoned airport. Emma's senses heightened as her heart skipped a beat, her curiosity piqued by the mournful sound. The cries of a baby, so pure and fragile, echoed in the vast emptiness, tugging at her heartstrings and drawing her closer, despite the unease that coiled in her chest. Driven by both concern and a desperate need for human connection, Emma cautiously followed the sound, her steps hesitant yet determined. Each footfall seemed to reverberate through the desolate corridors, the hollow echoes a constant reminder of her solitude. As she ventured deeper into the labyrinthine passageways, a sense of foreboding began to settle over her, the darkness seeming to grow thicker with each step. Finally, the source of the cries came into view, an open doorway leading to a dimly lit janitorial closet. A flickering light bulb swung gently from above, casting eerie shadows that danced upon the walls. And so, Emma Lawson's survival instinct propelled her onward, fueled by the adrenaline coursing through her veins. She would not allow herself to become another victim in this macabre dance of life and death. With each labored breath, she vowed to fight, to outwit the monstrous janitor, and find a way to escape this forsaken airport. Emma's legs burned as she sprinted through the dimly lit corridors, her heart hammering in her chest. The pursuit of the bloodthirsty janitor echoed behind her, his growls and snarls reverberating through the empty airport. Panic fueled her movements. Each turn she took a desperate attempt to lose her pursuer. Amidst the labyrinthine halls, Emma's eyes darted from door to door, seeking salvation. Her breath came in ragged gasps as she rounded a corner and spotted an open office room. Without hesitation, she dashed inside, her trembling hands fumbling to close and lock the door behind her. The room offered a temporary respite from the horrors that lurked outside. Emma's wild gaze scanned her surroundings, her heart sinking at the lack of escape routes. The office was dimly lit, the faint glow of a desk lamp casting long shadows that danced upon the walls. The air hung heavy with the scent of paper and ink, a stark contrast to the putrid stench that clung to the janitor's presence. As Emma caught her breath, her eyes fell upon an officer diligently working at his desk. Relief washed over her, for here was another human presence, an ally amidst the chaos. With a mix of desperation and hope, she recounted her encounter with the zombie janitor, her words tumbling out in a rush. The officer's face softened with empathy, his eyes reflecting genuine concern. He assured Emma that he would keep her safe, his voice laced with sincerity. She clung to his words, finding solace in his calm demeanor and the glimmer of hope they offered. Finally, it seemed she had found someone she could trust in this forsaken place. The officer swiftly rose from his desk, his movements purposeful as he guided Emma towards what he claimed was a safe room within the airport. With each step, he exuded an air of confidence and authority, making Emma feel secure in his presence. The officer's reassuring words and actions fueled a flicker of optimism within her weary soul. They reached a nondescript door, its metal surface contrasting against the sterile surroundings. The officer unlocked it, revealing a room bathed in soft light and lined with emergency supplies. Emma's heart skipped a beat as she stepped inside, her eyes scanning the room for any signs of danger. The door closed with a resounding thud, sealing them off from the outside world. Emma took a moment to catch her breath, her pulse gradually steadying as a glimmer of hope blossomed within her. She thanked the officer profusely, her voice trembling with gratitude. In this room, she believed she would find the sanctuary she so desperately sought. But as Emma turned to face the officer, a sense of unease pricked at the back of her mind. His smile seemed to stretch unnaturally wide, his gaze fixated upon her with an intensity that sent shivers down her spine. And then, in a chilling whisper, he revealed his true nature, a zombie, just like the janitor she had encountered earlier. Shock froze Emma in place, her mind struggling to comprehend the betrayal that had unfolded before her eyes. The officer's once kind eyes now glowed with an insatiable hunger, his mouth contorted into a grotesque grin. Fear surged through her veins once more, jolting her into action as she realized that her fight for survival had only just begun. Emma's mind raced, her survival instincts kicking into overdrive. She had trusted the officer, believed in his assurances of safety, only to discover that he was just another bloodthirsty monster lurking within the confines of the airport. Fear and adrenaline surged through Emma's veins as she desperately searched for a means to defend herself. Her eyes fell upon a nearby desk, cluttered with various office supplies. Without hesitation, She snatched up a heavy stapler, its weight providing a modicum of reassurance in this nightmare. The zombie officer advanced, his steps deliberate and menacing. His grotesque grin widened as he taunted Emma, reveling in the terror that danced across her face. But she refused to succumb to despair. With newfound determination, Emma launched herself at the officer, swinging the stapler with all her strength. The metal device connected with the side of the officer's head, eliciting a guttural howl of pain. Momentarily stunned, he stumbled backward, giving Emma a precious opportunity to escape. She sprinted towards the door, her heart pounding in her chest, her mind focused solely on survival. As Emma burst into the corridor, her senses heightened, taking in every detail of her surroundings. The airport, once desolate, now seemed to come alive with an eerie energy. The dim lights flickered overhead, casting ghostly shadows that seemed to taunt her every move. She ran as if her life depended on it, every instinct urging her to put as much distance as possible between herself and the undead officer. The sound of his enraged pursuit echoed behind her, driving her to push her body to its limits. Finally, Emma spotted a crowd of people in the distance, their figures hazy through the thick fog of exhaustion. Relief surged through her as she approached the bustling area. The airport had returned to life, teeming with fellow travelers oblivious to the horrors she had endured. Gasping for breath, she approached a security checkpoint, her voice hoarse as she pleaded for help. The security personnel, alarmed by her disheveled appearance and the urgency in her eyes, quickly sprang into action. They formed a protective circle around her, shielding her from any impending danger. As daylight broke through the windows, casting a warm glow upon the airport, Emma felt a renewed sense of hope. The nightmare she had endured was finally behind her, a harrowing tale etched into her memory. With the assistance of the security team, Emma was guided to her gate, her every step accompanied by a renewed sense of freedom. She boarded the plane, her body and mind exhausted, yet filled with a newfound appreciation for life. As the aircraft taxied down the runway, ready to carry her away from this haunting ordeal, Emma glanced out of the window, bidding farewell to the airport that had transformed into a nightmarish labyrinth. She vowed never to forget the lessons learned within those walls, the fragility of trust, and the strength she discovered within herself. Emma's gaze shifted forward, towards the future, where brighter days awaited. She closed her eyes, taking solace in the fact that she had overcome the unimaginable, emerging from the clutches of darkness with her spirit intact. The plane soared into the sky, leaving the horrors of that fateful night behind. And as the plane disappeared into the clouds, Emma knew that she would carry the memories of that forsaken airport with her forever, a reminder of her resilience, her capacity for survival, and the enduring power of hope.